All right, so just like Giselle said, we're gonna cover a couple of things, but I think here's a very this is what I've done over the last year, and so I just want to share with you kind of that journey. But I'm going to share with you he was talking about psychology, brand psychology, right? Mike was talking about brand psychology. I want to share with you platform psychology and why I believe YouTube is the most powerful platform, and why if you have at least a year or more in your business, you should be on YouTube, period. Now, if you're planning to retire in the next year, well, then maybe not so much. But if you're going to be doing that in your business, then you have to implement YouTube, or at least video. I mean, YouTube may not be the answer for everybody, but I believe it's the most powerful platform. And I'm just going to share with you real quick. This has been our journey over the last year, and I got to give a shout out to my partner, Travis Plumb, because he's a big part of my success as well. So here on September 1st, I had the opportunity to speak in Sarasota, but I was going to be speaking on October 15th. Well, Juan, the organizer of the event, actually reached out to me and said, hey, could you text me a little quick bio about, everything that's happening? So I sent him this bio, and I just said, hey, after researching one social platform, Levi decided that I was going to go all in on YouTube. So I launched the first video. We're right at our 1-year anniversary, December 5th, 2020. First video. Started where everybody else started, 0 views and 0 subscribers. But now, at September 1st, whenever I sent him this bio, I had gained, 4.3 million impressions, 340,000 views, 37 watch hours, 4.3 thousand subscribers, but most importantly, 23.1 million under contract or closed. And that was since March 1st, because that's when the first deal went under contract. Well, by the time we got to Sarasota 45 days later, we had done another $11 million from the YouTube channel. And everything I'm talking about today is just from the YouTube channel, period. That's all we're talking about. Now, you fast forward to today, 55 days later, this is where we're at. And again, did not get the first deal under contract until March. So just in that short time frame, this is where we're likely going to end up. And we actually just executed 2 days ago on our largest deal from the YouTube channel, $2.7 million. It's a cash deal. It's going to close. Everything that's happened this year has really fallen into place. And the thing is that, we've done what that equates to is 1.2 million in GCI. But we wanted to close $1 million in GCI, in our first year. And with that deal, it's a 3%, 81,000 for that 2.7 million, and it's a cash deal. We weren't going to hit the $1 million. Now we've got it under contract, but we actually had like 5 to 6 properties. If you're dealing with new construction right now, that got pushed back into January. So it was going to make us fall short of closing at least the full $1 million in the first year, which really we were just kind of doing that for a vanity metric. We just wanted to say, hey, it's one thing to put under contract that amount, but to actually close it. And now with that deal, that's a cash deal, that's going to happen. And guys, it's our first year in real estate. So had 0 sphere, thank you. Not my first year in business though, and I'll get to that. And I think that's a very important thing though, is that I came into this with a completely different mindset. And this is why. There's a couple of good books that I believe if you're going to be on YouTube. The thing about these books is that this is where I'm a little old school, so I tend to look at, okay, who's at the top, and I tend to start with books. Even though I guess there's a lot of great information on YouTube, but I started with books. Okay, who wrote the books? YouTube Formula, YouTube Secrets. But what's really cool about YouTube Secrets is the co-authors, Sean Cannell and Benji Travis. I've had the opportunity to develop a relationship with them over the last year, and they're revising this book. YouTube Secrets, the best-selling book right now. They're revising it. It's going to be coming out in January. The revision will actually be featured in that book. And so the reason being is not because we have 100,000 subscribers or 1 million subscribers. It's the fact that they wanted to show, because every success story that they have there in YouTube was those, high number of subscribers. But what they wanted to show is that we were able to generate $1 million in business with less than 5,000 subscribers. And so they wanted to show that if you have a product or service that you can promote and sell through, YouTube. Now, luckily, we're in a high-ticket item, right, like real estate. So that's a big honor and a big feature for us. Now, the problem is I mean, it's funny, Mike touched a lot on this stuff. So if you don't walk away with thinking about YouTube as far as being part of your plan, well, it's probably not for you then. But Mike covered a lot of this stuff. And here's the problem, is that even from the National Association of Realtors, he mentioned like Tom Ferry, that was the quote. Whenever I was making that decision to transition into licensed real estate, was the fact that quote of 87% of agents fail within the first 2 years. They don't renew their license, right? If we renew our license every 2 years, 87% don't renew it after the second year. And then look at this, straight from the National Association of Realtors, agents with 2 years or less experience make an average income of $8,900. So I don't know about you, but I can't live off of $8,900 a year. And why is that too? Because agents usually come into the business with less than $5,000 to their name. They're making a transition or starting a new career or doing something different. So, they don't have any time, they don't have any money really to invest. And so what do you fall back on? You fall back on doing things that are free, which is cold calling, door knocking, and calling FSBOs, calling expires. Now, but that's directly trading your time for effort because usually people don't have a lot of money to do that. And so that's what leads to it. But this is why YouTube's so important. I mean, again, Mike covered quite a bit of this. The largest search engine. I knew this because I paused. And so what happened last year is that whenever I was making that transition, I said, okay, if I'm actually going to get into licensed real estate, now I've been involved since 2009, investing and rentals and Airbnb as a side hustle, 2 or 3 transactions a year, nothing that big, but enough to, I always worked with a real estate agent, so I was familiar with the process, but I was making that transition, and I knew, one of my mentors said, it's not the best real estate agent that wins, it's the best marketer. And I saw pillar number 1 in James's book, right? What's pillar number 1? Thank you, James. Marketing. So the reason agents don't fail is not because you're not a good person. It's not because you understand a contract and memorize the whole contract. And I know agents that start out and I've memorized the entire contract. But what does that matter if you don't have business coming in the door? You don't have people to work with. That's why they fail, because they're not effective lead generations. And you can't just rely on your friends and family. Why? Because as soon as you get into real estate, they're like, now I know another real estate agent. And guess what? You're directly competing with your sphere for your aunt and your uncle and your cousin and everybody else that's in real estate, and your neighbor, right? They're in real estate too. So you're directly competing with that. And then guess what happens? Everyone's feelings get hurt whenever somebody uses somebody else. So I just paused and I was like, if I'm going to get into this, I know I needed a marketing plan. At the same time, I didn't want to compete with everybody in Dallas, Texas. There's significant name brands in Dallas, Texas. So I didn't want to pay for billboards. I didn't want to pay for ads. I didn't want to be the 100th agent in the neighborhood magazine when there's 500 properties in there and there's like one article about Dallas and everything else is a real estate ad, right? So I was like, I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to cough up the money. So I knew social media would be the answer, but I didn't know which platform would be the best, but I knew I needed to choose one. Mike kind of alluded to this. What I've noticed is that the top performers in real estate, at least the content game, they are extremely persistent and consistent on one platform. Now, they may be branched off into other platforms, but they have their platform of choice, whether that's TikTok, whether that's Instagram, whether it's YouTube. And again, I'm not knocking any of those other platforms. I just found that YouTube was for me. So whenever I looked into, now most of the noise came in about Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram. That's where most agents, whenever I started to research which social platform would be best for me, then that's what came up. So I looked into them and I started to buy some of those books. There's actually books on Instagram marketing. Of course, there's YouTube channels, everything. And I went down that rabbit hole and nothing really set well with me. So YouTube was actually the last choice. But whenever I got into YouTube and I bought the books and I started to understand the fundamentals and the principles of YouTube, that's what made sense to me from a platform standpoint. And so why is that so important? Again, just like Mike mentioned, world's second largest search engine. So here's the thing. When people are searching and looking for information, guess what they're doing? They're in the buying process, right? They're looking to make a decision. So, and YouTube is Google, right? Google owns YouTube, so they go hand in hand, and people are looking for that information. Now, You look at our back-end analytics. I'm going to share a lot of our back-end analytics with you. At first, actually, YouTube search was our primary driver until about 2 weeks ago. First time in this whole year, the last 2 videos that we published took off. I mean, they just took off. Now, we've been pretty steady Eddie, but for whatever reason, the last 2 just took off, and so now Browse has taken a hold of that, but still YouTube search drives, right now at this point, 26% of our traffic. But look at Google search. External traffic, 47% comes from Google. So when people are searching on Google, just like Mike showed, guess what? Now when you search on Google, what happens? If you look about halfway down, what do you see? YouTube videos, right? If you click on Videos tab, what do you see? YouTube videos. If you click on Images, what do you see? You actually see thumbnails of YouTube videos. So Google is heavily promoting video, all right? But here's, like I said, I want to get into a little bit of the psychology of why I believe it's the most powerful platform. Interruption versus intention-based marketing. So interruption marketing is basically the way all marketing works, right? So you're driving down the road, you see a billboard. I mean, are you in the mood for, your next shampoo or something that you see on the billboard? No, you're driving. You're just trying to get home or get to work or do whatever you do. But what are they doing on billboards? What are they doing in magazine ads? What are they doing with TV commercials? They're interrupting what you're doing because they just hope to hit you over the head over and over and over again until that image becomes branded. And then hopefully one day when you're at the store, maybe you remember that particular shampoo, right? That's why there's commercials have the jingles and the songs and you can't get them out of your head because then you're at the store going, oh, it's time to buy some soap. Oh, I remember that jingle. But that's all interruption marketing, right? So if you're doing that on Facebook, guess what you're doing on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok? I mean, who says, hey, honey, it's time to buy a house. Let's go house shopping on Facebook. Hey, honey, it's time to buy a house. Let's go house shopping on Instagram. Hey, honey, it's time to buy a house. Let's go house shopping on TikTok. Not likely. Again, I'm not knocking those platforms, but you got to think about where people are starting their journey whenever they're going to look. So if they're scrolling on Facebook, what are we doing? I'll tell you what I do on there. I kill time. So if I'm stuck at the airport, stuck in traffic even, like at a stoplight, our attention spans are so low now, right? When you're at the stoplight, you're like, oh, let me check social media real quick. What do? You probably scroll a little bit and you kill a little bit of time. Well, you're not necessarily in the mood to shop for anything right then, but you see an ad, you either pass it on, or if you click on it, or if you pause for just a second, guess what happens? You get retargeted. Just like Mike said, you touch anything of his on the internet, and he's going to follow you around everywhere until you die probably. So that's the thing. That's retargeting. Now, guess what? Most people don't have the budget of Mike, right? Because that takes time. It's interruption marketing. You have to target people over and over and over again. Same thing whenever you look at a pair of shoes online and those pairs of shoes follow you every single website you go to. That's interruption marketing. But intention-based marketing, think about it. What do? When you want to buy something and you want it right now, where do you go? Amazon? Exactly. You buy it in 2 seconds, it's on your doorstep. That is extreme intention, right? So you don't even need an ad for what you're trying to do. Well, think about YouTube. People are actively searching. They're sitting down. They're researching. They're about to make a move. And why do we know this? And think about this. Who has actually watched Facebook or TikTok or Instagram on their TV? Now, Mike said it a little while ago. He said 82% of the online traffic is mobile, right? But look at our traffic. It's actually least when you compare it and you add it up to TV, computer, and tablet. TV is 25% of our traffic. What does that tell you? People are sitting on their couch watching our videos. You talk about door knocking, they're inviting us in their living room. We're sitting down with them. Computer, tablet, what do you do on computers and tablets? You research, right? Nobody says, oh, I'm going to kick back my feet. It's a long day. I'm going to go sit on my desktop and watch some cool videos. Nobody relaxes that way. They're going to the computer to research. So when you add that up, that's 53% of our traffic from TV, computer, and tablet, which tells us people are sitting down. Now, I'm sure Mike can attest to this, is that they say in online marketing, you got to get somebody to consume 6 minutes of content to try to convert them into a client or customer. Well, if you're doing that on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, you've got to hit them with 30-second, 1-minute videos, and then you got to hit them again. You got to hit them again, right? So you got to build up to that 6 minutes. Look at our view time on TV. Average watch time, over 10 minutes for one video. So we're capturing them like that in one sitting. Look at computer and tablet, over 6 minutes. So right there, for free, no matter when, 53% of our traffic, we're capturing them in one viewing. We're capturing that whole 6 minutes. But look at mobile phone, where is it the least amount? 4 minutes and 41 seconds, right? Because when people are on their mobile phone, they're not necessarily in the mood to research. And what do you do sometimes when you want to buy something and you got to fill out a form online? You're like, oh, screw this. I'm going to go on the desktop and do it real quick, right? Whenever I can click around and all my information is saved. We know. So that's a big deal. Paid versus free. Facebook, Instagram. I mean, these other platforms. How many have bought Facebook ads before? Yeah. So if you post anything organically, you could have 5,000 followers on Facebook, but you post something and guess what happens? You get like no reach, right? You ask your mom, hey, Mom, did you see that post I did? And she's like, no, what post? I mean, your mom doesn't even get your Facebook post anymore. I mean, that's right? So that's the thing is that, so you have to pay because they want you to pay to push out your information. Now, unlike Mike, if you post on Instagram, you're probably getting the same 7 to 10 real estate agents that like your post every single time. Nobody's really beating down your door to buy a house. But YouTube is 100% free if you optimize correctly, and that's exactly what Mike was talking about. Look at our channel here. Guys, in 1 year, YouTube has given us 7.8 million impressions for free. We have not paid a single penny on any ads at all for our channel. And look where we started, just where everybody else does, 54 with our first video. We only got 54 impressions for our first video. But look how flat that is, and look at that steady growth over time. And now, like I mentioned, for the first time in a whole year, just the last 2 videos just took off. Now, and see that huge spike? I'll cover that here in a little bit. But 7.8 million impressions for free. If you paid a penny per impression on Facebook, that would be $78,000 in marketing you would have had to spend. Now, would that be worth it for 1.3 million GCI? Yes, but you would have had to pay that out of pocket first to get there. And that's what most people are not willing to do. They don't have the budget to do it, or they don't have the tenacity to do that, because you spend $4,000 or $5,000 in marketing, and when you don't get anything back, guess what happens? You're kind of like, okay, well, let's, what else are we going to do, right? I mean, marketing is tough, right? Because every time you spend money, if it doesn't provide something back, it's very difficult to justify paying that money again. So that's what makes it hard. You got quantity versus quality. You know, if you've ever run Facebook ads, anybody can turn on a Facebook ad for you. Anybody out there can do that. They set you a $10 a day budget, you get 100 leads at the end of the month. But guess what the conversion rates are? They're very difficult. Now, again, I'm not saying that people haven't done it before, and it is possible, but the conversion rates are very low. They're more like 1%, if that. But the average conversion rate's around 9 months too, because guess what? Someone's scrolling on Facebook, they click that ad, and then you call them. And you call them and you say, hey, you clicked on my ad. Remember you filled out that survey? And they're like, what ad? What was that? Oh yeah, I remember that. It was. I like the picture of that house. That was pretty cool. I was just kind of looking around. Well, now they're in your database, and now you have somebody that was kind of interested in your ad, but they're not really in the market. So guess what you got to do? Now you got to follow up with them, right? And I see some heads shaking because I feel like some people have been through this before. They say, yeah, now you got to follow up, and then you got to follow up, and then you got to follow up. Well, guess what happens? You get another 100 leads, and then you get another 100 leads, and then guess what? After 3 months, you've got 300 leads, and then guess what you're not doing? You're not calling the 100 that you had from the first month because you're overwhelmed with the next 200 that you get. See? So our conversion rates right now from our channel, 14%. 14%. And we just ran these numbers, 50 days on average to get somebody under contract whenever they first reach out to us. That's a fast close cycle. So we see this. So 565 leads we have come into the channel. That's manageable. 565 leads over a year, and we've done 80 transactions. That's right at 14%. That's very manageable. So take time versus make time. This is really the key thing that most agents tell me whenever we talk about YouTube. How come you don't do YouTube? Well, because it takes too much time. But I'm here to argue that YouTube actually makes you time. So to me, I believe really Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, those are more labor intensive if you're doing them yourself. I mean, think about Instagram. You got stories, you got your grid, you've got reels now. I mean, you're trying to post all these different platforms and things and different types of videos. It makes it very difficult, right, to keep up with that. And if you're trying to do that every single day, which is what they say you need to do to keep that consistency, that's very hard, especially if you're doing it yourself. Now, if you're paying a social media manager to do that, that's a little bit easier, right? But then you've got to pay them to do that. So videos on YouTube, just like Mike said, run 24/7. You'll see people, I just pulled this from last night. Look at this. Last night, 2 a.m., or the night before, 91 people watching our channel at 2 a.m. in the morning. And if you go to the little tab next to that, it's probably like 60 at 3 a.m. So what does that mean? That means we're reaching people that we would likely never reach, period. You would never reach them cold calling, door knocking, kissing babies, shaking hands, at networking events, at the grocery. What? These people, what are they doing at 2 a.m.? I don't know. Well, they could be night owls. They could be working the night shift. Maybe they live in another country. How many have cold called another country for real estate business? Nobody? Exactly. You wouldn't do it. But guess what people are doing from out of the country? We've helped people move from Japan. We help people from Mexico. We've helped people from Europe. And we sold them houses over the phone. And we've done that. And we've done it for soldiers too. Think about soldiers coming from out of country coming in. We love them. But they come in and they need a house. And guess what they're researching? Do you think they're in Japan going out saying, hey, let's go drive the neighborhood? Nope, because they can't. But what are they doing? Let's go on YouTube. Let's see what it may look like to, now we're getting stationed. Guess what? Soldiers don't get a choice where they get put sometimes, right? So what is their only option? Well, they're getting put halfway around the country. What do they want to do? They want to go look at it. So we're reaching people 24/7, 365. And again, when it comes down to this, I'm going to say this is why it makes you time, because guys, we average 162 views an hour. If you're making calls, how many calls can you make in an hour? And then if you get that one chatterbox on the line, guess what happens? There goes half an hour. And then guess what happens? You make like 2 calls over an hour. But we're consistently reaching 162 people every single hour. Where else can you duplicate that? So even if you had a team of inside sales agents, you had 10 people making calls, guess what? All 10 people could only call one person at one time. That's all they're capable of. So even at that moment, they could only be calling 10 people at a time. So here, we're prospecting by multiplication versus addition is what it comes down to. And then, of course, why is that? Because we create evergreen content versus seasonal content. An evergreen tree has its leaves all year long. So it's a relevant tree all year long, right? It's nice and pretty. Well, we create content so it doesn't matter what time of day, night, weekend, Easter, Christmas, Thanksgiving, Halloween, doesn't matter. Whenever that person finds our video, it's relevant to them at that time. So then our content is always prospecting for us. But your open house videos, your listing videos, guys, if they're not multi-million-dollar properties, listing videos go nowhere. All right? So, unless you're Suman, I guess, right? So, videos, they run 24/7 for us, 365 again, and because search is evergreen, because there's always going to be people searching your city. So as long as there's people searching your city, then your videos are always going to be there. They'll always be able to find them. And this is what I call this kind of like selfish versus service-based marketing. Actually, Mike said this earlier again. He said, right, when you're throwing out flyers and your billboards and everything else, what value does a billboard give anybody? What value does the bus stop, park bench give you? What value does putting your ad in the magazine give you? Well, I'm building relationships. Well, that gives, what value? That's what every other agent does. And so that's why whenever those videos, if you ever look at them on YouTube, and actually whenever I was starting, I came across Mike's channel, of course, and that is one of the channels that I researched and studied and went through that. And I looked at a lot of creators, and I really understood what was going to happen. So, but you're showing them what they really want to know. So that's why, I didn't name the channel Levi, Levi Lascsak Real Estate Agent, because I know that has 0 searches on YouTube. 0. I know that. So from an ego standpoint, I don't care about my ego. I care about making some money, right? I want to do some business. So I knew at that point too, and based on my research, if I name the channel and my content is based around search-based content that people are already looking for, well, then that's going to be a lot easier to be found at that time. And again, going back to take time versus make time, you think about this, guys. If you ever struggle with trying to feed social platforms, I'll tell you this, it's very difficult. I haven't really seen anybody do it where they can piece together stories or 60-second video. You can't take 10 of your 60-second videos and merge that together to make one long-form content. That's very difficult. I haven't seen anybody do it yet. But you can take a YouTube video that's 20 minutes, and you can chop that up into 20 one-minute videos. And you can feed every other platform. You can feed Facebook, you can feed Instagram, you can feed TikTok with that. So if you want to focus on one platform and you want to feed the others, it's a lot easier to make long form content and then have that chopped up and sent out. So that gives you, and then this, outbound versus inbound. I love this because this is the thing. We don't chase anybody, period. We've never made an outbound call at all whatsoever. All the sales training in the world, you know why it was invented? Is because you're trying to go after somebody to convince them why they should buy your product or service. It's why there's books, seminars, YouTube, everything is about building rapport, building credibility, building trust. Why? Because you're going after people. You have to convince them. Now, you absolutely believe in your product and service, but it doesn't mean that that person is ready to buy or, you know, I used to sell cell phones, actually. When I first got out of the military, I sold cell phones in Costco. Think about it. Nobody goes to Costco to sell cell phones or to buy a cell phone. So every day we were interrupting marketing, right? Interrupting marketing, trying to get people to buy cell phones at the time. But what do we have to do? We had to stop them what they're doing. Then we had to start a conversation. We had to build that rapport. We had to, you know, get them to like us in a very short period of time. Same thing with car sales. You may be going to the car dealership to get a car, but then it's all about that interaction with the person, right? And they have to build that trust, that relationship, that credibility. Well, through video, guess what happens? We don't try to capture people at all whatsoever. We just let them call us when they're ready. So I know Mike talks about this. He talks about top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom of funnel. What does top of funnel mean? It means people are not familiar with you, right? They don't know who you are. But guess what on YouTube? They search, they find your video. They found your video on their own. And guess what they do? As soon as they watch that video, they now move themselves to middle funnel. Now they're starting to familiarize themselves with you. They're starting to understand you. They're starting to like some of your videos. And guess what? YouTube's the most creator-friendly platform because guess what YouTube's #1 goal is time on platform. So what are they going to do? They're going to feed your next video to them because if they watch one of your videos, they're more likely to watch another one of your videos, at least if they watch the 30, 50%, just like Mike said, right? So from that standpoint, then they're in the middle of the funnel. And whenever they drop to bottom of funnel, which means they've developed the trust and the relationship on their own, the videos have done that for us, they call us. And guess what? When they call us, it's game over. They've already made the decision they want to buy with us. They already want to work with us. So we don't have scripts. We don't have to have scripts. We don't have to have buyer agreements, any of that. Because once they call us, it's done. Because we're not trying to capture them. We don't say, hey, download this free PDF and try to capture their information and then call them because guess what? What happens is then we're pursuing them and they may not be ready. And we get this all the time. People tell us, I've been watching your channel for 6 months. We were just waiting when we were ready to buy to call you. How great is that? But if we would have captured their email 6 months ago, guess what we would have had to do? We would have had to call them, email them, try to build that relationship over the next 6 months. And then they might have got tired of us by then. And 6 months when they're ready, they might have said, man, Levi calls me all the time. I'm going to go work with somebody else. That could happen, right? So we don't mess with anybody. We just wait until they call us. And whenever they call us, it's it. It's game over. And guess what? They are so happy. So that's trading time. This, to me, is really the most important factor. I never hear that people talk about this. Your activity cannot be scaled except by adding other people, and guess what? They cap at that same time as well. So anything you're doing, you are directly trading your time for effort. If you're making a phone call, no matter what you're doing on lead generation, I don't care if you're kissing babies, shaking hands, networking, making phone calls, the second you stop, your lead generation stops, period. You're directly trading time for effort. Now here, through compounding time, guys, this is the main thing. This is what I'm going to show you. YouTube compounds your time. Anybody ever heard the cash flow quadrant? What's the most coveted side? It's the right side, right? It's the goal is to get to a business owner and then get to the bottom right, which is an investor. Why is the investor the most coveted quadrant of the cash flow quadrant? It's because you can let your money make you money, right? Mike said it. Warren Buffett says, you'll never be rich until you make money in your sleep. So compound interest is the 8th wonder of the world. We've all heard this. Well, if time is our most valuable asset, then why are we not putting our efforts into something that can actually compound our time? And now what do I mean by that? This is the last year, guys. Our channel has been consumed 60,400 hours. And when you divide that by 24 hours in a day, That is 6.89 years. We have been prospecting for almost 7 years in the last year. We've been prospecting. So that is compounding time. And you look at this on this day, Saturday. Guess what? I don't know where I was. I know Mike was at the beach in Tahiti or something, right? But here, our channel was viewed consumed 195 hours. Guys, you know it takes 4 15-minute videos to equal an hour? 195 hours on a Saturday was consumed. But guess what happens? Look at this. When we had this big spike, 399 hours in one day of watch time. Where can you double your efforts? Where can you double your efforts like that? What's that?
Is that Cyber Monday?
No. Where can you double your efforts like that? Can you hire a sales team to compound your time that much? No. Did I do anything additional than I've been doing? No. It's just video hits at the right time and it takes off. Can you imagine 400 hours of your videos being consumed in one day? So that's a big deal. Look at this. Again, compounding time. This one video took me 30 minutes to make. It's been consumed 3,600 hours, guys. That's equivalent to 150 days. So when people tell me they don't have time to make YouTube videos, I'm going, If you don't have time to make a YouTube video, that's exactly why you should make a YouTube video. Because if you don't have time, you're not leveraging your time. So that's what you got to think about. One video took me 30 minutes because it's giving me back 150 days of prospecting. Is that worth it to make a 30-minute video? Will you time block like Mike does on a Saturday?
Yep.
Yes, absolutely you will. Now, it takes time to build up to that, but look at this. Our average, per day, we average about 166 hours per day of watch time. Guys, 168 hours is a week. So you think I have any competition with any real estate agent now? You think I'm competing with everybody in the magazine or the billboard next to the other guy whenever I'm prospecting a week every single day? And again, if you're prospecting just 2 hours a day, then I'm completely crushing you because you're only prospecting for 2 hours. I'm prospecting a week every single day. Nobody will ever catch that. So here's a little bit of the story. I knew this. I knew getting into real estate, I was like, I do not want to be that statistic. I do not want to be the 87%. On top of that, guys, I'm 42 years old. I was like, I'm in a different position. You know, the boiler room was cool back whenever I was 20, like sitting there, like hammering out phone calls all day, but I was just not going to do it. I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm not saying there's anything against cold calling or door knocking. Clearly, you know, door knocking worked for Mike, but like he said, it's not efficient. It's effective, but it's not efficient. But I was just in a different place where I'm like, I'm not going to do that, so I got to figure out a different way. So that's why September started to do the research. October I just took 2 months. The only difference with me, I came in with a different mindset and I was patient, period. And I said, I'm going to go all in on one platform, and whenever I figured out that was YouTube, I studied the platform for about 2 months. And watching as much content, reading the books. I've read the books actually several times, 2 or 3 times. And going through that. November 2020, here's what I knew. I knew, based on everything I consumed, that here's what happens. Here's what most agents do. They post a video, they get all excited, they start their channel, post their video, and guess what happens? Life happens, health happens, real estate happens, business happens, and then guess what happens? You don't post a video after that, right? So I knew consistency was extremely important in the beginning. So I did this. I recorded a month's worth of content before even starting the channel because I wanted to be a month ahead on content. So that way, whenever we release the first video, we start filming that content for the next month. And then guess what? If something happens, well, I'm not stuck and I'm not behind on content. I'm not losing track. So I wanted to stay consistent. And just like Mike said, I gave myself, I'm going to do 1 year. That's what I told myself. I'm going to give myself 1 year. So what happened? Well, December goes by. Guess what happens? 0 transactions and 0 GCI. What happens in January? 0 transactions and 0 GCI. What happens in February? 0 transactions, 0 GCI. What happens in March? 0 transactions, 0 GCI. But look, we're growing. We got the views. We got the subscribers. They're kind of ticking up, but still no business. At this point, whenever I researched, started filming, and then started publishing content, I'm 7 months in with 0 return. Now, how many, you don't have to answer this, except to yourself, but how many would have quit any month before that? So I just decided I wasn't going to quit, no matter what. Why? Because this was happening. Now, you can't read everything on here, but this is what happening, is we were getting the reach outs. People were contacting us. These are text or emails. And I only put 4 up here. I could show you 100 of them, but I only put 4 up here because I want you to see the volume on these guys. I've never met these people. And look how much information they're giving us in the initial contact. But I highlighted something important in each one. Look at this. We would like to check with you if you would be able to help us find a home. I'm also a subscriber of your YouTube channel, so I've been preparing for this day for a while. I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to hearing from you. If you have some time to talk to us, please feel free. It's almost like they're asking me to work with them. Actually, they are. It's not like they are. They are. You can see it. It's in black and white right there. They're asking me if I have time for them. And one thing that people tell us all the time is they appreciate, they know how hard we're working because they see the consistent content. Guys, the consumer knows when they go to any of your platforms, if you're not consistent, they're going to bounce. I can promise you that. But people tell us over and over, and now look how much they appreciate it. They appreciate it so much that they're asking us, do you have time to work with us? So we were getting these types of texts, these types of emails, but something else was happening. We were getting phone calls, and this is what would happen on these phone calls. You got me?
Hi, Levi. Is this the Living in Dallas
I got you.
YouTube channel?
That's me.
Are you guys the folks on the YouTube channel, right?
Yeah, that's us.
Okay. I know exactly who I'm talking to then.
But this is regarding the Living in Dallas, Texas channel, right?
What, are you guys from the videos, from the YouTube videos?
Yeah, that's me.
It's good talking to you.
I saw some of your videos, and that's how I found you, so actually very helpful.
When I see your guys' videos on YouTube and kind of caught our interest. I'm posting on YouTube, a very interesting, we appear shooting information.
I don't know if we should ask for an autograph or something. We can follow you on YouTube like you're a superstar.
I thought I'd reach out to you guys because I've been watching your YouTube videos.
Hey, good to talk to you guys. We're looking at your videos on YouTube.
I hear that. Talking to the movie star.
Just saw your YouTube video. I'm sure you did a lot of calls like this.
Like some of your videos are literally the first videos I see, so I'm just like, I'm gonna call this guy. Let me text this him.
Thank you, and have a nice video.
We were really impressed, and that's why we wanted to get in touch with you.
I saw your videos, and it actually helped me.
We liked your videos and your knowledge and your energy level.
All the information that you gave us on the YouTube channel about both of those spots, it looks good.
You watched pretty much all your videos.
I found you through YouTube, actually. I've been watching a lot of your videos lately.
Hey, let me commend you, man. Good job on that.
Great videos on YouTube. Yeah, I've been looking at your stuff and it's been helpful.
Your YouTube channel helps out a lot. I watch his videos, kind of get a lay of the land, you know. But
You make great videos, by the way. I enjoy watching them.
we learned a great deal just watching your YouTube videos, which are amazing, by the way.
I found your information super helpful.
I might still stay in your videos. They also talk about for investments.
No-brainer, because you're also well-informed, but I really like your stuff.
The videos and content there really express really good character powers and really informative.
We watch your videos religiously.
Thank you for doing that.
That's awesome.
Now, I know everybody in here has faced a lot of rejection in our lives. Can you imagine how would that change your business alone if you just had people that called you every day wanting to work with you and then actually surprised you were the one that answered the phone? So not only that, but then we do Zoom calls. The thing is we give people 4 ways to reach us. You know, call, text, email, or Zoom. Why? Because we know people have different communication styles. So we want to provide the least resistance possible for somebody to contact us. Plus, it tells us a lot about our client. If somebody if you know about the communication styles or learning styles, right? There's audio, there's visual, there's kinesthetic, there's readers or writers. So this tells us a lot about our client too. So the people that call us, they're probably auditory people, right? They just want to have a conversation. They want to hear you. The people that text or email are readers and writers. Kinesthetics, people that like to do and feel, they're probably the Zoom people, right? And so we're getting on these Zoom calls, and this is what happens.
I found me through YouTube. It's kind of funny because it feels like I'm watching a YouTube video right now.
I knew he was gonna be cool.
You know what? After watching your clip, my head exploded. I was like, wow.
Thank you so much for taking the time out of your Sunday. I appreciate the text messages, because those have been super helpful.
Hey, good seeing you again, Levi. Are you enjoying the videos?
Oh yeah, I do. I really enjoyed your video. We saw your YouTube channel and said, hey look, he looks knowledgeable, he knows that.
Funny to talk to the person behind the YouTube video.
From one creator to another, I really like your channel.
I your videos on YouTube. Very impressive.
It's like seeing a celebrity.
Nice to see you. We've been watching your videos every day.
We saw some of your content and kept on saying, like, reach out, so we're reaching out.
So maybe it's advice.
I really appreciate your video when you spoke to when you just described the different areas of Dallas.
And we were like, oh, these areas seem to fit our vibe.
It's been a year, so now I'm just kind of looking to head towards the DFW area. Just from the research we've done, some of your videos were helpful too.
And I have never been to Texas in my life. However, I know that I'm going to love it there because it just keeps them coming up. And only seeing Levi on the screen now talking to you instead of talking at you.
I found a couple places that I don't want to go to and a couple places I want to.
Okay, good.
Beautiful when you get back home.
I've left a couple of times myself, but I'm like a boomerang, always come back. So
It's actually really hard to get out here at no.
not with us.
Well, yeah, let's do that.
Just the timing, I guess, was kind of good. They say things kind of happen for a reason.
So I've done some research. I did watch your videos. I'm actually coming to check out the areas and figure out which one we would like best.
Pretty cool to see you now.
Oh, thank you. Well, it's great to see you.
Well, thanks Levi, and yeah, we'll be in touch.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you very much. I know it took a lot of your time, but that's really helpful. Thank you today, and then we can keep talking.
Thank you both. Thank you.
We'll definitely stay in touch and make sure we get y'all taken care of, okay?
Okay. Thanks so much for your time, guys.
Thank you both so much. I appreciate your time.
Nice to meet you. And let's get this done.
I mean, did it look like we were selling anybody on those Zoom calls? I mean, nope. Yeah. Do you see how many of them were smiling and happy? And I mean, can you imagine? I mean, how many people say, I can't wait to go work with a real estate agent. But that's what the power of video does. People, they want to work with you. So finally, after all that, but that's what kept us going. And you know what? Nobody ever asked us, not a single person. They never asked, how long have you been in business? How long have you been a real estate agent? How much production have you done? What brokerage are you with? They have never asked us any of that. They didn't even know. And you know why? You know why? It's because all the content I provided them was about Dallas. So I don't care if I don't even know anything about real estate, contractually, or, the ins and the outs, was the fact that I know Dallas because I've been there for 20 years. And that's what people want to know. So your city is your content. Your city is your content. So regardless of where you're at in your journey, then that's what you need to provide that value for them. All right, now I feel like I'm backed up again. Now there's food here. People are like going, all right. They're like, okay, when's this going to be?
Now keep it going.
All right. Thank you. I needed that. But finally, guys, 7 months of work on this first deal under contract. So in April, we actually we were able to close 2 deals from March. So $30,000 in GCI. May, we closed 3 transactions. So we go from 0 over the 7 months to $73,000 in GCI in 2 months. Now, just that alone with $73,000 in GCI help out a little bit if you had that extra. So even if you're still doing your regular duties as a real estate agent and you started making videos and then a few months later, boom, you've got $73,000 in GCI, would that help your business? Well, it doesn't stop there. In June, we closed 7 transactions, $89,000 in GCI. July, 5, $77,000. August, 9 transactions, $127,000. And this is between Travis and myself. This is not a team. And the funny thing is it's Travis's first year too. So we were just navigating this all on our own. And you can see subscriber count, view count, everything's growing. September, we closed 9 transactions, 148,000 in GCI. October, we closed 11 transactions, 144. November, we closed 12 transactions, 151,000 in GCI. This month, I think I didn't run the numbers yet, but we'll be close to breaking 200,000 in GCI for December because of the 2.7 million deal got added on there. And then, look at this. When people are saying that fourth quarter is slow, I realize this is from October. It's the same thing this weekend. If I showed you, we had 5 people coming in town just that weekend in October. We had people coming in town the day after Thanksgiving. We had like 5 people coming in town that day. So people are not slowing down. Why? Because we have consistent content out there showing up. And guys, remember last December, we had nothing to even gauge this off of. And now this December, our call count is doubling and tripling because we're getting the preppers for March, April, and May. And guess when the busy time of real estate is? March, April, May, June. And now we're already getting calls from those people. But remember, we didn't even really have a channel last December, so we didn't know that was going to happen. So we still have people buying right now. And on top of that, we're getting all the preppers in addition to that. So how to research? I think Mike was showing vidIQ probably. TubeBuddy's another one, how you can do that. So TubeBuddy.com is what we use, but if you Google your city and state, scroll halfway down, it tells you for the most searched topics. That's 4 video ideas right there. But Google Keyword Planner, that's a free resource. But if I Google every suburb in Dallas, it tells me 10,000 to 100,000 searches per month, pretty much for all of them on Google. But whenever you look in TubeBuddy, which searches YouTube, look at this. Frisco, Texas, the most popular suburb, 640,000 searches per month on YouTube. Guys, you think you can get one person from that amount of searches? But you've got to be the person that shows up in front of them. And guess what? When we publish a video, I just took this screenshot. When we published the video, it shot to number 1, even though this video has 20,000 views. So even like Mike was showing how his videos get above Tom Ferry, views and subscriber count doesn't matter. It matters about the optimization and everything on the back end. And that's views and subscribers don't matter. It matters about the optimization and everything that you do on the back end. Now, that's to get it in front of somebody. You have to provide the valuable content to keep them there. And look at that. So we would rank number 1. We usually rank the guys. They say when people search YouTube, they make their choice. 75% of them make their choice based on the first 5 videos that show up, which is about typically what you don't have to scroll to see what is below that. We typically own 3 to 5 of those videos for every suburb. So you look at Prosper, Texas, 136,000 searches per month. We own the top videos. Irving, Texas, 523,000 searches per month. We own, 3 out of the 5 top videos. You search Plano, Texas, 834,000 searches per month. I always own the number 1 video. So in the top 3 in there, Allen, Texas, 167,000 searches per month. So guys, you can be in the real estate business and you can also be in the digital real estate business. This is digital real estate. And what we own Boardwalk and Park Place. That's what these slots are whenever people are searching. And guess what? When people are searching on YouTube, guess what they're doing? They're in research phase. They have not even likely chose a real estate agent yet. And guess who keeps showing up over and over and over again? So even if it's my first year, guess who looks like the authority? Because we're just there. Just like if you search real estate marketing, you're probably going to see Mike over and over and over again. So who looks like the authority? But again, you got to back that up with the quality and the content there to do that. So, and guess what? The best thing about this is it does attract a lot of relocation. But guess what? The good thing about that is they don't know a real estate agent in your area. So you're not competing with anybody else. And what we absolutely love about relocation is they're extremely intentional. They're decision makers. They come into town. They usually buy the first weekend in town. They have to move. They want to move. They're motivated. Guys, it's a transaction. These people are not coming to us saying, hey, can you help us find our forever home? They're saying, hey, find us a house, especially in this crazy market. They're like, just get us a house, and then we'll worry about all that later. We already have, guys, it's just the first year of the channel. We're already starting to get listings from our own clients already because life happens, like I said. Circumstances come up, they decide, hey, I need to move back or I got to take care of family, something. Some people have said, you know what, I just bought this house just because I wanted to get in here. I didn't want to rent. Now let's go look for my forever home and I'll turn this into a rental, or they could probably sell it now for a pretty good return based on the market, right? So that's what happens. They're extremely intentional. Forney, Texas, I mean, even though it's a low suburb, 11,000 searches per month, still, we always own the top 4 out of 5 videos there, period. They're just like stuck there now. They're just stuck. So that's what happens. But here, what you can also do, guys, we don't guess at any of this stuff. Whenever I came into this, I didn't guess at anything. I looked at Mike's channel. I looked at all these other marketing channels, and I looked at other real estate agent channels. I looked at the channels that suck and the channels that were doing well. And you start to notice a trend. And so I'm going, okay, well, here's you can also A/B test thumbnails inside of here. So this is a thing. Like this, Fairview, Texas. This is very important because Fairview, Texas, nobody really knows about Fairview, Texas. But what everybody asks about is Frisco, Texas. And so it just gave me the hunch. And here's the thing, a lot of people will tell you, you should know your thumbnail and your title first, right? And that's really the key, and then you make your content around that. But I knew that nobody knew Fairview, Texas, and so we decided to change that to the new Frisco. Why? Because Fairview's right next door to Frisco, and it's actually a better school district. It's more property, better lots, but nobody really knows about it. And look at the difference on that click-through rate. You talk about 1% versus 5.3, that's a big difference when you're getting 30,000 impressions per day to your channel. That is a huge difference. Yes, sir? Are you using the same video for both those? Yeah, that just swaps out so that's the cool thing about the A/B test is it shows one thumbnail one day and it shows the one thumbnail the next day. And so we set it on there. You can set it to where it's just statistically significant, which means whenever one outperforms the other one up to a certain point, it automatically sets that one. And so we just let it run until one becomes the winner. But still, that's a huge difference on impressions per day. So we don't guess at this stuff. It's not about ego. It's about what does the data tell us? What is the viewer going to tell us? And we let them decide. So that's it. So again, you can optimize in there. You can write out your tags and your titles just like Mike was talking about, and it gives you a little score, and that's how you optimize correctly on there. Your tags, I mean, it basically gives you your tags, and you just click and add those in there. Thumbnails, you can also, compare them to the other agents in there. Guys, when I started, I looked at Dallas. Why wouldn't you look at Dallas? I mean, I love what he said. The market's never saturated for the person that goes the extra mile or the extra step or whatever it is you want to say. When I was looking at Dallas, there's about 10 other agents already on YouTube. Guys, is that saturated for a market? 10 agents on YouTube? Out of Dallas, there's 25 or 30,000 agents in Dallas. And people say, well, I want to become a real estate agent, but I want to go on YouTube because YouTube's saturated, but I want to become an agent with 25,000 other agents, but I don't want to go on YouTube where there's only 10 agents marketing. But I want to put myself in the magazine with the other 100 agents that have their magazine ads there, right? Or I want to send out postcards so it goes out with all the other postcards with every other agent and every other junk mail that goes out, right? I just don't get it. So I looked at these channels and I said, okay, plus Dallas, there's millions of videos on Dallas. There's lifestyle, there's bloggers, there's apartment people. I mean, it's like Betty Sue posts her apartment tour and it gets 500,000 views. You ever seen one of those videos where it's just like some random person and they were like, oh, I'm going apartment shopping or something. And then you see it's like got 500. All right, so that's what we had to compete with. But we outrank them all the time because we optimized the videos properly. So that's the key thing. So I just looked at, okay, here's what I also noticed. What's funny, Mike said this too, right? If you want to start it, you got to start. You have to start, but you have to commit to the consistency. Do you want to do 1, 2, or 3 videos a week? I don't think really more than 3 videos a week on YouTube is, that's probably the cap. That's, so that's the other thing. People are posting videos every single day to every other platform, but they don't want to make 2 or 3 videos per week for YouTube. That doesn't make sense to me either. But here's the thing. What I noticed in Dallas, all of those agents making 1 video per week. So what did I say? Well, I'll do 3. I'll just outwork them, and I'll gain traction that way. And that's what I committed to. So doing 3 videos per week. And so that's how I was going to overtake on that. And so that's what we did. Now, you look at the channel. We just broke 7,000 subscribers in the first year. That's also unheard of. YouTube does studies. It takes the average creator on YouTube, if they make it to 1,000 subscribers, takes them 22 months, almost 2 years. If they make it, if they don't quit before that. Now, everything is very strategic on here. Again, this is because of my research and everything that I looked into. Everything is. Now, when you come here, do you think this channel is about Dallas? Does it look like this channel is about Dallas? Okay, so what do we do on our banner? We paint the picture, right? We're visual creatures. So an impression, by the way, if you don't know what an impression is on YouTube, an impression on YouTube means that your thumbnail sits there for at least 1 second on somebody's screen. So if they're scrolling, now if they just scroll past it with their thumb, that's not an impression. But YouTube says if they stop and whatever, if they're on a desktop, mobile, doesn't matter, that thumbnail, why? Because your eye can actually process an image in 7/10 of a second. So if it sits there for 1 second, they give you an impression. So we know we want to create visual. We got a little map. Where's all of our people moving from? California, Illinois, New York, right? So we paint that visual for them. We also know you want to learn about living in Dallas. We don't say, hey, call us to buy if you want to buy, sell, or invest real estate, because guess what? That's what everybody does. But people want to know. They want to learn about the city. Guess what you don't see on the channel? This is where I'll disagree a little bit with Mike. We actually don't link any other social platform because, guys, if we spent so much time to get them to our channel, why do we want to distract them to another channel? So for us, the only reason we want them to ever leave this channel is if they schedule a call. We don't want to give them incentive to go find us on another platform because guess what happens? We link our TikTok on there. They go to TikTok and what happens? Well, then you start watching cat videos and everything else, and next thing you know, they're distracted. They're gone. So we don't want to lose them on time on platform. YouTube's #1 goal is time on platform. So we want them to stay on our channel. We only give them a reason. When we pop up, this video starts playing automatically. Do you have your trailer and your feature video on there? And then guess what? We adjusted our description. So just like Mike was showing his description, we adjusted our description for that first video that lives on there. So guess what shows right there? Guys, nobody has to scroll when they come there. So when somebody comes to that right there, they're going to see that almost every time on any desktop, mobile, or whatever. So guess what's in that description for that video? We just reposition it. It's usually a little bit further down in our description, but we just reposition our contact information right there. So they see every way to contact us. But also, hey, let's meet in person on Zoom. Again, we only link a Zoom call or to subscribe on the channel. We don't want to distract them with other platforms. Look, when I record office videos, you see where I'm positioned? I'm positioned like from the shoulders up, top of the head on there. What can you see? I'm going to help you here. Can you see my eyes? That helps establish a connection. I'm right there. I'm right there in that camera. Now, the other thing is that all those videos you saw, remember I was playing that little phone call clip? That's it right here. iPhone and a microphone, that's it. And it's on a wide angle, and that's all I'm doing. And I do that, I'm not going to be up in the camera. Why? Because my subject is everything behind me. So whenever I'm outside, I want this on. I just adjust this just a little bit, tilt it just like that, makes it a natural fit. That's it. Guys, my iPhone 11, whenever I upgraded, I just kept my iPhone 11 for my little shooting camera. So as long as you have a wide angle, and no, I don't look at this screen, because you know what you do when you have this facing you? You look at yourself, because you like how you look. So you're like, oh, hey, we're going to talk about real estate today, and then you're looking at yourself the whole time, and guess what the viewer's looking at? They're not looking in your eyes because your eyes are off to the side. So then when you're that way, guess what? I've got my little Mickey Mouse right there. That's who I'm talking to. I got eyes and a nose, and I'm talking to Mickey Mouse, and that's who I have a conversation with. James says this, all video is communication at scale. And I like to say video is sales at scale. So what I do is I just have a conversation with the camera, and that's it. I probably look funny doing it, but hey, I just sit there and I pretend like this is my client. And it is my client. I'm just reaching them through a different platform.
And this is you going around Dallas, talking about Dallas and the different areas.
Yep.
So you don't put any real estate, you don't talk about the contracts or.
So she just asked, do I ever talk about contracts, escrow, appraisal? You know why I don't talk about that stuff? Is that person's probably under contract with somebody else. If they're watching your appraisal video or your inspection video, or whatever it is, guess what? The contract video, if somebody watches that, and you probably experienced no views on that, but if they watch that, it's probably because they're in contract with somebody else. Again, we're providing all the value up front. We're providing what they're searching on the front end, so that way we're capturing them in the research process before they've even decided to call a real estate agent, and then because we provide them so much value that they call us because we're there by default. So I've never done a market report ever, because guess what? It's seasonal, it's not evergreen. And as soon as I do an October market report, guess when it's not relevant? It's not relevant November 1st. And so if that's the first video that somebody ever comes to my channel and finds, guess what they could say? They could say, well, that's not the video, this is not the channel for me. So I don't run that risk. So I don't do any seasonal content. I do 0 market reports, 0 appraisals, 0 escrow process. That's it, because I just talk about Dallas. Dallas is the subject, period. Now, what I do is I incorporate myself and my personality and things I like. I incorporate myself in the video. I don't dedicate the video about myself. So people know I like Americano coffees. People know I live in a historic district in Dallas. People know I like historic and history, because I mention that sort of stuff. And you'll be surprised, guys. There's things I mention in videos I forget about, and people bring them up to me, and I'm like, well, how did you know that? And they're like, you said it on, remember that video you did like 3 months ago? And I'm like, no. I mean, they listen. People pay attention to this stuff. Why? Because they're in research mode. They're in research mode. So everything we do on here is extremely strategic. So Mike mentioned this. Your thumbnails should not be your title. Look at all of our thumbnails. 3 words or less, period. You can get a pretty good idea of what everything is about. But 3 words or less. You can see bright colors. I'm zoomed in there. It's not because I want to be zoomed in there. And if you've ever made a thumbnail, sorry, Mike, I have made a couple of thumbnails myself. I don't do it anymore, though. But, hey, I want to learn the process. So, when you're making that on a desktop, it's like your face is that big. And you're kind of like, man, that seems like too big. But when you put it on a screen, that's part of the connection. So you take up about a third of it. I do a lot of houses, backgrounds, things like that on there. Same thing. Started doing these series, very simple series. What does this price point get you in this suburb? Guys, you do that, you have videos for months. Because guess what I did? What does 400K get you in Frisco? What does 500K get you in Frisco? What does 600K get you in Frisco? What does And guess what? I can do that all through Frisco. And then guess what I can do? I can move to Plano. And then I can move to Irving. And then I can move to, if you're suffering for content ideas, just do a video on every single price point. Because guess what? People are searching specific price points. And they know. So videos to shoot. I mean, this is very simple. You use something like TubeBuddy or vidIQ. I think, Mike, you're using vidIQ, right? Yeah. So you want to just make it simple. Again, we don't guess on this stuff. What's the most searched suburbs in your area? You can go through there, find it, just like I showed you all of ours. I was surprised to find like Plano was more searched than Frisco, because Frisco is typically the most popular suburb. All right? And then you make all your videos. Publish 2 times a week. I don't know, I'm throwing this out there Monday, Thursday. The reason I throw that out there, because it takes about 20 videos on your channel before YouTube actually tells you when the audience that is watching your channel is on the platform. Here's the other thing, I just remember this. Here's the other thing about competition, so to speak, or other channels. You don't have to raise your hands, I don't want anybody to tell on each other, but how many of us watch real estate TV shows? How many of us watch, okay, I know we only watch them 1 day a year on, okay, Giselle, she's not afraid to admit, but we watch $1 Million Listing, we watch Fixer Upper, we watch Fixer Flop, we watch, even though we don't, okay, Selling Sunset, nobody likes to admit to that one, right? But because it's like 5 minutes of real estate and 45 minutes of drama. But guys, that's the thing on YouTube, because I research. But here's the deal. I bet if I asked anybody in here, out of all those shows, if you consume all that content and you wanted to buy a house from one of them, you could only choose one. And I bet you everybody in here has their agent. There's probably somebody that likes Ryan Serhant, somebody that likes Josh Altman, somebody likes Chip and Joanna, right? So that's the same thing on YouTube, guys. Everybody's going to watch all the other channels. Even YouTube tells us on the back end that they watch every other real estate channel in Dallas. All of our viewers watch every single one of them. But you know what? We don't know the ones we lose because we're not pursuing them. So we only wait till they call us. So I don't know how many people I lose. All I know is that we've done $43 million in business. So do you think I'm concerned about the people that don't like us? And guess what? Here's the other great thing, is our clients are pretty much exactly like us. Because like attracts like. And when people consume your content, if they choose another agent, you know why? It's because of personality. Probably the number one driver. So whenever they choose another agent, we probably weren't going to vibe anyways. And so guess what? We're not working with nightmare clients. We're working with people that are just like us. And it makes it fun and easy. So we don't have to worry about that. So schedule your videos, set to publish. Like I said, I would wait until you have 2, 3, 4 weeks of content before you ever publish. All right, so here's what you can do. Vlog, most searched suburb, pros and cons. I mean, vlog, guys, it's a rinse and repeat system. It's really not that difficult. Top 5 suburbs, don't move to, everything. I mean, you can do this on Frisco, Plano, Irving, whatever your suburbs are, you just rinse and repeat. Mike talked about the hook. I have the same hook. I'm sorry, I don't try to get creative, I just have the same hook. So you're thinking about moving to Frisco, Texas? So you're thinking about moving to Plano, Texas? Why do I do that? Because I want somebody to actually literally shake their head and say, yes, I am thinking about moving to Frisco, Texas. Because I know that's why our audience is so hyper-focused. Because when I say that in front of every video, then they either say yes or no, period. And if they say no, if they jump off the video, guess what? That tells YouTube that that is not my audience. And I'm okay with that. Because I only want the people to stay on that are like, I am thinking about moving to Plano. And then guess what I do in the videos? I actually mention the other videos. I don't ever add direct links. You can actually add direct links in your videos to another video. I never do that because, again, I don't want to distract somebody from that video to another video. I just mention if it's relevant, and then we pop up the thumbnails. And so that just creates the visual to let them know that we've got other videos they can consume on that content. And again, I don't believe in memorizing or scripting videos at all, but I do believe your intro, you should have that down. Hey, if this is your first time to the channel, you want to know everything there is about Dallas, Texas, or the surrounding areas like Frisco, where we're at today, then subscribe below, tap the bell for notifications so you can be the first to learn about the current market in Dallas. And my name is Levi. You know, my partner Travis and I, we get calls and emails every single day from people just like you looking to make their move to Dallas. We love it. So whether you're moving in 9 days or 90 days, give us a call, shoot us a text, or send us an email. Happy to help you make a smooth move to Dallas. So I can say that in literally 15 seconds. I say that every single time. And you know what? Whenever I say subscribe so you can be the first to learn about the current market in Dallas, you know what I'm telling people? I'm not telling people subscribe below so that you know when I drop a new video, because what does that tell somebody? It doesn't tell them anything, right? But if I want them to know, if you want to know about the market in Dallas, then that's why you should subscribe. And then I tell them, hey, give us a call, shoot us a text, or send us an email. Because, again, I want them to know that there's different communication styles. All right, so that's pretty much it. But if you treat YouTube like a hobby, it'll pay you like a hobby. If you treat YouTube like a business, it'll pay you like a business. So choose which one. And I'm going to end kind of right here. I'm going to tell you a quick story. Do we got a couple of minutes, James? Okay, thanks. Choose your hard. That's what it comes down to. It's hard working out, but to me, it's harder to be out of shape. It's hard owning a business, but to me, it's harder to have a job. What you doing over there, Devontae? Come on, man. All right, I'm in a flow over here, man. I'm in a flow. I'm like going. Yeah, I'm in the flow over here. I didn't, but I'll tell you what it says. Choose your hard. So it's hard making videos, or it's going to be hard making calls. Choose your hard. Guys, I don't deal with rejection because I make videos. The only rejection you have to deal with is in your own head when you're making a video. Like Mike, when you're doing 600 takes, that's probably a mind game, right? Actually, there's several of you in here. I won't point you out, but you've come up to me, and you know what the most consistent thing people have said to me today? Man, it's just, I know it, I'm just in my own head. Guys, you got to get out of your head. So, man, come on, Devontae. So,
you gotta blame somebody, you know.
I have a question.
Yep.
So you mentioned that you memorize your intro, your outro, but
Yep.
so everything in between, you just free flow?
Free flow.
Nice.
And here's the reason why is because, guys, when you're with a client, you have to free flow.
Yeah.
You're not going to be with a client in the house and go, hold on, let me do another take. Actually, let me do a third take. Let me do a fourth take. So when you're with a client, you're talking because you know your area, you know your market. You've probably studied the stats of that house, whatever you're in, right? You've come prepared. So you're talking. So that should be natural. I believe when you're making a video, because again, my content is my city. And guess where I've been for a while? Or, I mean, there are people that are successful that move to a new market. Like Mike said, assuming, you know, I'm assuming what he probably did is he probably went out and experienced his city. And then he probably told everybody about his move from coming from out of state. Did he do?
It was the best thing he did. And
Yeah.
the craziest part is he moved there a year ago. So what do you think he did? He did a 1-year review of what it's been like living there for a year. So he explained why he moved there, and then similar to like a review of a car you would do is like people can just like go look at the car that actually drove the car. The same thing is here's what it's actually been like to live here for a year. Video blew up, tons of clients. That one video resulted in $10 million in production in a month. Yeah.
So I was going to throw this out there. Guys, I throw out numbers not to impress you, but because anytime I'm like, I want to learn somebody or follow somebody, I do want to know, right? We kind of want to know what are they actually doing just because I want to know. But for those that say it's hard to make a video, this is what I get paid to make videos. I've made 156 videos for the channel so far. We've done 1.297 million in GCI. So every time I go out, you think it's hard for me? Whenever I go, I make about $8,300 a video.
So can you share some more, just throw out some videos that you make, because 156 videos.
Can you pull it up or make it big? I mean, yeah.
Like, do you just talk up?
Yeah, you're good. She asked videos. For the essence of time, I would just say go to my channel. I mean, Mike's got 100 videos that he made about what videos to make. The resource is out there, but at the same time, you just want to draw inspiration, right? I understand rip off and duplicate. I never really liked that. I always just like modeling, you know, like draw inspiration. I mean, I would not. There is a guy in Dallas now that as soon as I come out with the video, I believe he actually runs out and makes because he comes out with that video about 3 to 4 days later. Exact title, everything, complete copycat. But you know what? Almost none of his videos have even broken 100 views. So I think people pick up on that stuff and they know it. So you don't want to be a direct copycat, but you do want to draw inspiration. So go look at the channel, you'll find it. And like this, we're able to break off. Now we started Living in Dallas, Texas Shorts. We actually started a separate channel for short form content, but guess what? I have not lifted a single finger to make this because our editor chops up all of our videos and posts them here, and now they post them to TikTok, and they post them to everywhere else. I don't have to do that, but now look at this. We started this September 20th, 2021, so just 2 months ago. Okay, only 69 subscribers, so you guys are the first to see that. But look at this. It's already gotten 44,000 views as a channel, almost 45,000 views as a channel completely. But the reason I did this is there's at the bottom of a YouTube channel, you can link another YouTube channel. So I link my main channel at the bottom. So the reason I did this was to draw in additional eyeballs I may not be getting from the other channel, but to draw them to that channel. Because if I catch them here and they want to research and look into more long form content, then I draw them to the other one. And then this one I'm really excited about right here. Now we're starting to branch out. See, we're going to go deep in Dallas. And now we started the luxury channel. And the luxury channel, we just started this. All right, we're about to break. Maybe we broke 100 subscribers now. We got our first few videos out. Just like Mike said, Remember he said picture of a house with the big numbers? I knew that because of research. I'm not guessing on this stuff, but we thumbnail tested. What's funny is this one won over the picture with Travis and myself in it. So we're like, okay, well, all right. All right, so much for that. So we're doing property tours now, but again, the reason, like I said earlier, I've never done a listing tour because nobody cares about your $500,000 listing. I'm just sorry, but that's just the case. Nobody cares about it. So, but they do care about multi-million-dollar properties. Everybody wants to see those all the time. So we got them. Now we're touring them. Now we're testing. I don't know if this is going to work, but again, hey, we're trying it out. And the thing is that there's not even a luxury presence in Dallas. I mean, you guys, you look at the luxury market. Who was I talking to? Someone earlier. Yeah, Jose. He said even in New York, it's like Ryan Serhant, and that's it. You know, Eric Conover maybe. But again, Eric Conover is not even a real estate agent. So can you capitalize on that? There's like zero presence in Dallas really for luxury properties. And so we're already gaining, 423 views in 2 weeks. That's not bad. 630. This one, 634 views in 6 days. We're testing out. We're like doing videos on the tennis parks, the tennis parks, the exclusive parks and everything in these, multi-million-dollar neighborhoods. So we're kind of testing that out because we didn't just want to be like just a property tour. We wanted to make this about living in as well, the luxury lifestyle. So again, we're testing it, but if you want to follow this journey, you're going to see us starting a new channel all over again. But everything we're doing is pretty much the same format, right? We don't distract with other social platforms. We want to try to draw the attention there, and so that's what we're doing there. So, yep. You want to wrap up? Oh, okay, yes.
All right, so I'm trying to get out of the mindset of like content and videos for TikTok, Instagram, Reels, Stories, where it needs to be short, quick, catch their attention, get them in, get them out. So for YouTube, they need to be long, right? Like your videos are only 20 minutes or so long, and are they watching the whole video?
So just like Mike said, the video needs to be as long as it needs to be. It needs to be short enough to provide all the information. It needs to be, it doesn't need to be long enough to have a bunch of fluff and everything in it. So I think the shortest video I have is 13 minutes. The longest video I have is an hour because I was testing things. And trust me, that 1 hour video is actually one of the best performing videos on our channel. Now here, remember when Mike said he looks, he says a bullet point, and then he stops and he looks to the side, gathers his thoughts. That's all we do, guys. A 20-minute video is only a compilation of 5 to 10 2-minute videos. That's all it is. That's like Mike said. He looks at his point, he says what he needs to say, and then he stops. Everything comes together in the editing process. This new, we have a new luxury video coming out tonight, and what's funny is that actually we were going to scrap it. Where's Alex at? He might maybe. Oh, he's over there, sitting down on the job. Let's see. No. So Alex, we filmed that. Man, that Travis and I had the most friction during that video. The homeowner decided to stay. Like we tried to get them out. They decided to came. They came out like a couple of times and go, they're actually 11-foot ceilings. Like whenever I said 12. So now you got somebody like listening in the background and everything. And you're going, okay, all right. Thank you for that. Comes out, her maid comes out and like starts getting ice out of the, just while we're in the middle of filming, we're going. And so we had the most friction during that whole video. And then it came together. Alex edited everything. And it's the best one. I believe it's one of the best ones we have coming out. And it's just like, all right, well, that worked.
Include those bloopers?
No. Because we were cussing a lot. No.
To follow up on her question, have you done blooper reels of like videos? Because we always present this, polished product to people, but the BTS stuff sometimes.
I've never published anything, but a lot of my mess ups are in the videos. We don't even edit them out. So I trip, I talk over myself, I slur my words sometimes, and I just go, bleh, I get tongue tied, and we just leave that stuff in. So it's to the point where actually the editor now, she makes it a little dramatic. Like I trip in a video and she slows it down and goes, it looks like I'm doing all this crazy stuff now. I'm like, all right. So that's her way of having fun, but that's okay. So yeah, sometimes, just like when we talk natural, we go, you get tongue tied and you got to just stop and say, I just say, apparently I can't talk today. So anyways, back to what we're talking about. And so I leave that in there and I just leave it in. So yes.
Are most of your videos like out on the field, like you're walking around and getting a lot of B-roll, or do you spend a lot of time behind
Well, thank you for that. No, it's fine. Actually, unless you're moving to Texas, I don't want you watching the video because you're not really the target audience. But I'm a little torn, actually. I'm a little torn, like whenever I talk about the videos now, because there's a lot of real estate agents that watch it now. But no, I mean, it can be a combination. Ultimately, I mean, I've seen people with channels that have been 100% successful doing 100% office videos. There's people that do 100% outdoor videos. Like, I don't know, has Suman even done I guess maybe his 1 year anniversary was probably an office video?
Like, I do all office except for some lifestyle videos. Suman is all, like, aside from why he moved to Austin videos, it's all in the field. And then John Pena is a black both. All the community tours are out and about, and then all of it is like city information is like in the text.
Yeah, and I've seen people that only use a green screen, and they have very successful channels. So again, you have to do what fits your personality and your style, and you'll be the most consistent with.
Well, right, because then how do you get all the other shots? Like if you're saying, you know, move to my city, but you want like a clip of like City Hall or something.
Yeah. Well, that does help if you're making outdoor videos. That does help with office videos that we have all that B-roll, but you could go out one day and spend a Saturday or Sunday and film as much as you wanted to. If you wanted your own, I mean, there's some stock footage online that you can use, but that's usually general overall city. I mean, if you want to get very specific in your neighborhood, then, you know, spend a couple of days. If you plan on making office videos, I think that's very powerful to have that recorded content. And so yeah. Yes.
For the luxury listing channel you're doing, so those videos, are you just setting an appointment and going and looking at those homes, or are you talking directly to the owner? How does that work?
So here's what we did, guys. I'll tell you, so quick story. I mean, again, first year, it's like you just don't break into the luxury market in your first year as well unless you're Mike. But so I do want to be like Mike, by the way. And so, you know, we knew, and luxury is very tight-knit in Dallas. You know, there's like 3 main neighborhoods that are, most of the agents are the kids that grew up there their whole lives and went to the high schools and, you know, everything, have the, you know, all that stuff. So here's a simple formula, and I'm going to share it with you. So we knew, number one, we just wanted to get listings that we could film. And so they may not be our listings, we just needed permission. So, and then number two, the plan is that we do that, we start attracting an audience. Hopefully what happens, the progression, is that other agents, not likely, but other agents may reach out and say, hey, I really like your content and your videos. Could you do that? I just got a new listing for a $14 million house because they don't sell as quickly, but I can see that your channel is generating a lot of content. Well, and then they reach out to us, right? And then number three, you create enough of an audience and enough of buzz around the area, then hopefully sellers reach out from the beginning and say, hey, I love your content. Would you make one of those videos? We're thinking about selling our house. So that's going to be the natural progression. What happened with this is that we hired Alex. So again, I did everything on my iPhone for the first year. We just hired Alex full time to make this step into luxury because we knew it needed a different production style. We knew it needed a step up. We know, you got to put on the coat, not me in a t-shirt, standing in front of the Buc-ee's, right? So you had to step that up. So it was almost like if you build it, they will come. We hired Alex, and we had 0 luxury properties. But we knew we were just like, okay, we're going to find some luxury properties. We're going to start working that and make it happen. Well, it's funny, again, everything just falls into place. And we got a call for a $2.8 million buyer from the channel. And we hadn't had a call that high over that price point, and they wanted a custom build. Well, Travis takes them out. And Travis is like 6'3". He's got full sleeve tattoos, but he looks cool. And he's just different. But you know what? He can close business like I've never seen before. And so he's a master negotiator. I tell you what, absolute best. So he goes out, he meets with this builder, and the builder says, "You're not the average real estate agent I've ever seen." And so Travis, he gets on his sales horse, right? And he's like, oh man, well, we do YouTube, we do all this stuff, we generate all our bits, starts talking. And the builder says, I got 6 properties if you want to film them right now. Stage, ready to go. So we got our first 6 properties that way. The first 6 videos you'll see are coming out from, and they're all $3, $4, and $5 million properties. And then that led us to, guess what? I just had a meeting, we were just there the other day, just had a meeting with a new custom builder in Dallas. Tomorrow we go out, we're filming their 7,000 square foot, $3 million property that they just built. And he's like, we've got another 10 projects about to complete. You can film all those. And he said, we've got another 60 projects under construction. So we're like, okay, well, clearly builders is a good relationship to have, right? Especially on the custom home. So that's what we're filming. That's what we're starting out with. And that's how we broke in like that. Now, the goal is to attract the luxury buyer first. Now, can people go around us and go straight to the builder? It's possible. But again, that's up to them. If they tell us or not, I mean, we won't know. But ultimately, we want the content first. Content is king. And so we're not worried about the business today. We're worried about the business in 3 months, in 6 months. And if we build up the content library, if we lose a couple of multi-million-dollar buyers, first of all, we'll never know. Hopefully the builder will say, hey, this person told us they found you on YouTube, and hopefully they'll, help us out, right? That's up to them. I can't control that. But we're not worried about that because it's not a part of our goal. You see, what's your goal? What are you trying to accomplish? And so our goal is to get the content first. And if we have that content, we're going to build our library, and that library is what's going to pay us more and more over time.